So what if I told you there's one thing you could do that would radically change your health for the rest of your life? I'm not talking about a pill or some crazy complicated diet. I'm talking about a simple concept backed by an absolute avalanche of new science.
I mean, think about it. We are just drowned in health advice, right? One day it's one thing, the next day it's something else. But what if the single most powerful tool for a long, healthy life was simpler? And let's be honest, way more effective than all of that noise put together.
This isn't just some catchy phrase. This is the central conclusion, the big idea that researchers and massive studies from all over the world are practically shouting from the rooftops. This isn't an opinion, it's a fact that's been buried in the data. And in this explainer, we're going to dig it up and show you exactly why.
All right, let's dive right in. Because when you make a claim this big, you better have some serious proof. And trust me, the hard data that backs this up, well, it's the kind of stuff that makes even the most seasoned doctors sit up and really pay attention.
And look, this isn't coming from some small fringe study. We're talking about a massive 2022 review from the super respected British Journal of Sports Medicine. They pulled together 16 different studies covering more than 1 million people. The scale of this is just incredible.
So what did they find? A 21% drop in your risk of dying from anything, all-cause mortality. And that's just from lifting weights a couple of times a week. I mean, let that sink in for a second. That's a 21% boost to your survival odds. But hang on, because the story gets even more dramatic.
Okay, now this is where it gets really wild. When you take that strength training and you add in some cardio, that risk of death plummets by a staggering 40%. To put that into perspective, that is one of the most powerful protective effects ever recorded from any lifestyle change. Ever.
So the big question is how, right? How can lifting weights have such a huge effect? Well, let's move on to the next piece of this puzzle, because it turns out muscle isn't just for show. It's a vital, dynamic organ that acts as the master regulator for your entire metabolism. It's really time to stop thinking about muscle as vanity and start seeing it for what it is, your body's metabolic engine.
And this chart right here just illustrates it perfectly. Think of your muscles as this giant fuel tank for sugar. After you eat a meal, they soak up 80% of the glucose, the sugar from your bloodstream. Not your liver, not your fat cells, your muscles do the heavy lifting. They're your #1 frontline defense for managing blood sugar, and they're working 24/7.
So, here's the crucial takeaway. The more muscle you have, the bigger and more efficient that fuel tank is. This becomes your greatest weapon against metabolic chaos. It means better insulin sensitivity, less chronic inflammation, and it's basically a furnace for burning away that really dangerous visceral fat that builds up around your organs. In fact, the data is pretty clear that losing muscle is the single biggest predictor of developing type 2 diabetes as you get older.
But this story isn't just about your metabolism. Nope. The benefits travel straight up your spinal cord and right into your brain, making strength training one of the most powerful and, hey, radically accessible mental health tools we have.
I mean, just look at this number. A recent 2023 meta-analysis found that consistent strength training can slash symptoms of anxiety and depression by up to 60%. That's not just a little mood boost. That level of effectiveness is on par with, and in some cases even better than, conventional therapies and medications.
So what in the world's going on here? Well, every time you challenge your muscles, you're giving your brain this amazing chemical bath of good stuff. Yeah, endorphins, but also this crucial molecule called BDNF. The easiest way to think of it is like Miracle Grow for your brain cells. This whole process sharpens your memory, helps you sleep deeper, and the long-term data suggests it can lower your risk of dementia by a whopping 30 to 50%. You're not just lifting weights, you are literally building a stronger, more resilient brain.
Okay, so we've covered metabolism, we've talked about mental health, but let's bring this all together and talk about the one thing that's on pretty much everyone's mind: aging. Because let's be real, the goal isn't just to add years to your life, it's to add life to your years. It's about staying independent, capable, and in control of your own body. And to do that, we have to name the enemy. We have to face the primary thief of that independence, a process called sarcopenia. This is the age-related loss of muscle, and it quietly starts creeping in after you turn 30. But here's the most important part. While the process itself is natural, the rate of decline is not inevitable. It's a choice, not your destiny.
And make no mistake about it, the stakes could not be higher. The data here is crystal clear. Folks with low muscle strength have a nearly 3-fold increase in their risk of dying from all causes. Your strength isn't just about opening a stubborn jar, It is one of the most powerful predictors of your survival, period.
This quote just frames the real-world consequence perfectly. This isn't about becoming a power lifter. This is about being able to get yourself up from a low couch. It's about carrying your own groceries up the stairs. It's about having the strength to pick up your grandchild and the confidence to know you're not going to fall.
Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, it's too late for me, I have some absolutely fantastic news for you. The science is definitive on this. It is never, ever too late. We have rock-solid studies showing people in their 70s, their 80s, and even their 90s building significant muscle, regaining critical functions, and fundamentally changing their quality of life for the better. Okay, so you're convinced. The science is undeniable. But where do you even begin, right? The gym can feel like an intimidating place. But the best part about all of this is that the plan is surprisingly simple. You do not have to become a bodybuilder. This is manageable and accessible for pretty much anyone.
Here it is. This is the blueprint. Just 2 or 3 times a week. Focus on the big basic exercises that give you the most bang for your buck. You know, things like squats, rows, presses. Work in a rep range that feels challenging by those last couple of reps. And what's the golden rule? It's that consistency and slow, steady progress will always, always trump everything else. It's not about your ego on day 1. It's all about showing up on day 100.
You know, this really requires a complete mental reboot for all of us. We have to stop seeing strength training as vanity, as something you just do for how you look. Think of it like a biological 401k. Every single rep you do is a deposit into your retirement account of health and independence. It is probably the single greatest investment you can make in your future self.
And when you strip it all away, it really comes down to a very simple but very profound choice. It's a choice you make today about the kind of later you want to have. Will you choose to be active now or be forced to be passive then?
And we'll leave you with that incredibly powerful question from Dr. Marshall Pereira. The science isn't whispering anymore, it's screaming. Muscle isn't just important, it's medicine. It is the currency of independence in your later years. The evidence is in. The choice is yours.